Hi Tribe, today I'm talking to Charlotte about Georgia, a hidden gem. We've got so much to find out about it. I'm going to crack on and we're going to find out why Charlotte loves Georgia so much and why it's a great destination to share with the Outside Talks community as somewhere a little bit different, off the beaten track, but so welcoming with all the locals who will take you under their wing. So over to you, Charlotte.
Hi everybody. So my name's Charlotte Michener. I had the pleasure of visiting Georgia for the first time a couple of years ago, having heard about it 20 years previously and never quite made it out. Super happy 2 years ago through work to get an opportunity to come to the most amazing country. It's tiny. It's hidden away between Russia, Turkey, Armenia and Azerbaijan. It has a coastline. And like Susanna mentioned in the post previously where she introduced Georgia to you all, it's a hidden gem, but according to NTV, no longer. Apparently, it's now widely known and becoming increasingly popular. So I just wanted to share this with you so you get out before the rush.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think most people in the community like to go to places that haven't been as touched by mass tourism. So I think this is why this is such a unique time to visit. And also, it's helping out the local community, isn't it, in Georgia? Because something's happened recently which is going to have a huge impact on their economy, particularly their tourism economy.
Absolutely. So Georgia has been a huge tourist destination previously as part of the Soviet Union. So it was where all the Russians and the other Soviet Union states, people used to go on holiday. It's got a great coastline, beautiful beaches, amazing climate. It has sunshine, it has snow, you can ski. The food is undoubtedly some of the best I've ever had. The wine is incredible and the hospitality is second to none. So for many, many years, it was a very, very big destination for the Soviet people to go on holiday. And since those countries have separated, the Russians have remained a very, very big part of the Georgians' economy. Many tourists are still going there from Russia and increasingly from other countries as well. But unfortunately, quite recently, there has been a bit of a disagreement between the Russians and Georgians. Less recent, actually. But more recently, the Russians have stopped flights, direct flights, from Russia to Georgia, and also not allowing tour groups to go from Russia to Georgia. And the Russian tourism makes up a huge part of the revenues of the small country. So what we're trying to do by the purpose of this post from Susanna is to try and encourage more people to go from countries that haven't necessarily been exposed to Georgia before. It's not too far away. It's slightly further than your sort of average Georgia to Spain or Portugal. It's a 4.5-hour flight from London, for example. And the tricky part is, and maybe why it's not on so many people's radar, is because there aren't that many airlines that fly in, and certainly not directly. So that's probably the one challenge. But the fantastic thing is that it's small, it has so much to offer. The culture there is fantastic, it's quite unique. The language is absolutely fascinating. If you have any kind of background in coding or you're an ex-spy and you're sort of great at cracking codes, then you might stand a chance. But other than that, it's quite sort of a formidable language because it's unrecognizable. And the Georgians are very proud of that. But the great thing is that they very often speak English, especially the younger Georgians who are extremely embracing of Westerners, particularly. They love to have guests from Europe. They will speak English to you. They will do their best to help you. And they may even speak a little bit of Russian to you if you have a Russian language. But the Georgian language isn't a fascinating language for anybody to take a look into if you wanted to. But the history is huge. The history is thousands and thousands of years old. It's probably one of the oldest, and the Georgians will launch into their history, the first opportunity to share that detail with you. They're a Christian Orthodox country mainly. About 85% of the country is Christian Orthodox, and again, they're massively proud of their religion. They have some beautiful churches and historical buildings that are well worth a visit. And their food. I mean, for me, the food is what won me over. I spent a few years living in Russia a long time ago. And the only reason I survived in Russia was because they had Georgian restaurants and Georgian food. Beautiful breads, cheeses, the freshest vegetables and salads that you've ever tasted. And every watermelon you ever ate in Russia was from Georgia. So it's just divine. And I would add that the pricing is very, very good too. So anybody who's traveling on a budget, you can go into restaurants and have an amazing meal very, very cheaply. An extravagant meal is probably going to set you back 15 euros, and that's with wine and everything else. So depending on your budget, you can go into a little tiny bar and have a great meal. You can go to one of their fancier restaurants and it's extremely reasonable. So yeah, there's a huge number of bonuses.
And I think when I chatted to you the other day, one of the things that really came across was how kind and welcoming the local community are, and how genuine this is. And what was the saying? You said there was a saying about when people
Yes.
don't know about strangers.
Yeah, so they have a saying, and you have to check this out for yourself, but it's something on the lines of a guest comes from God. So they're saying that anybody who is a guest is going to be sent by God, and therefore you should treat them in that way and take care of them, which for us visitors is just fantastic. I mean, literally, you will speak to someone on the street, the next minute you're their best friend, you go back to their house, you have dinner with them, they take you on a tour, and you become friends for life. And this has happened on several occasions. So literally, it's just amazing. I mean, my husband and I went down to Kutaisi, which is where the flight from Luton goes into directly. It's their second city. It's great to visit and very accessible for us in the UK. And we went to a little restaurant, a little winery, and we were sitting there for a couple of hours having dinner and a bottle of wine, enjoying our food. 2 hours passed, we were ready to go back to the hotel at a relatively early night, when a complete stranger, a Georgian, walked up to us and said, "You appear to be alone." I said, yeah, well, no, you don't have a Georgian host. And I was like, no, we don't. Well, I insist you join us. And he literally scooped us up. So we didn't get home. We sat for another 2 hours. We had more food, more wine. And we're now best friends. And we're invited to visit him in Tbilisi. And and this, according to everybody I know locally, it's standard. So be ready to make lots of new friends.
Well, yeah, I think that's
fantastic.
I think that's what is a highlight of a lot of people's trips. I know when I travel, that's one of my favourite things, is actually meeting the local people and getting an understanding of what it's like living there from their perspective, and just challenging yourself to communicate and because sometimes that can be difficult. But if you're travelling as kids, obviously that opens doors as well when you're travelling as a family.
Absolutely, and they're hugely family orientated. That is their number one priority. The kids are everything, so in some other countries maybe less so. I guess it's a bit like the Italian culture, where the kids are the centre and they're at every dining table and taken care of. Very similar with the Georgians.
Oh, that's great. And one of the things you mentioned was, well, I suppose people in the community are coming from all over the world. So actually, it's a great destination to schedule as part of your round the world trip, because we've got so many families who are travelling long term, often looking for somewhere a bit different and unique. So actually, this is like the perfect opportunity, isn't it, to schedule Georgia into a long-term trip. And you said it was very easy to get to Turkey from there then.
Yeah, it's I think it's really becoming quite a gateway, especially for backpackers. When I first went out on my first trip, there weren't many backpackers coming through. But what we've noticed recently when we've been flying into Kutaisi is there's a lot of, let's say, gap years maybe, or students or other travellers with their backpacks on, and they're flying in from, say, Luton to Kutaisi on a £50 flight, and getting all that distance, a 4.5-hour flight, into the Caucasus, which then gives you great access into Turkey and those surrounding areas. So yeah, I think it's really becoming to be seen on that route. And also obviously featured in the Round the World TV program, which I think probably everybody watched and loved, considering we're all enthusiastic travellers, but it was on there, and I'm hoping that's going to be, clicking with other people who are listening to this now and remembering that there was Georgia and Baku, and those are all those sort of countries in that area. Yeah. So I really think it is featuring on a lot of people's radars now. The other airlines you can use to get in there is Georgian Air. I think there are a couple of flights in from London now. The other route, which is now closed, was obviously via Moscow, from via Sheremetyevo. But Turkish Airlines is one of their big links, so you can use Turkish via Istanbul to get into Tbilisi itself, and that's quite a standard route. So I mean, everybody's familiar and happy to travel Turkish these days, and that is a strong route into Georgia, and pretty reasonably priced as well.
And also, you mentioned about the different climates. So actually, it's quite a great place to visit all year round, because you've got the snow, and I guess you've got sort of sports to go with that, and then the sunshine and the coast. So it's a bit of, suits everybody depending on what their type of holiday is, really.
Absolutely. I mean, right now, July, August, I would say it's probably too hot for most. There is a coastline, Batumi, and a couple of resorts further along towards Turkey, but it will probably be hitting almost 40 around there. So it's going to be quite warm, early 30s up to 40 maybe. For traveling around and touring in the cities, it's probably too warm for some. But sort of spring, autumn time for trekking around and seeing the different places, amazing. I mean, it's absolutely idyllic. And whilst I haven't done it myself, a lot of the colleagues who I was working with in Tbilisi regularly going off to the ski resorts. very easily accessible. I think they said there are 4 or 5 ski resorts that you can get to very easily. Amazing, big mountains, beautiful scenery, lovely countryside, sweeping hills, lots of water. So yeah, it's got something for everybody, absolutely everybody.
It's definitely on my list now, and also I want to know if any people in the community put it on their list, and if they do, we want to see the photographs. And so you mentioned also about the troubles that the country are going through in terms of the tourism dropping off. So people in this group can also help by joining the Facebook group, which we'll put the link in this just above this video.
That'd be great.
And I guess just scheduling it as part of their travel itinerary is going to make a huge difference to.
Absolutely. The Georgians, I mean, if you were to take a look at the Splendour Summer in Georgia page, which you just mentioned, it was started on the 22nd of June. It now has over 250,000 members. It's amazing. And what the inspiring thing is there's a lot of travellers, and I was surprised at the length and breadth of these travellers have come from, who have been there a lot, have enjoyed their time, have stayed there, have moved there, who are married to Georgians. Everybody's sharing their stories. And the Georgians and those travellers who are now living there are opening their doors and genuinely saying, come and visit us. We will take you out for dinner. We will show you these sites. We have a bed and breakfast in such and such a place. We have a hotel. We're offering discounts. Join our tour. Genuine offers. And I wouldn't dismiss those. Those are genuine offers from genuine people who really will welcome you into their country and would love to see you.
Oh, thank you so much, Charlotte. Thanks so much for sharing that, actually, because it's so lovely, isn't it, to discover something and have first-hand experience. And you, like you said, you've been back again and again and again, sort of like really
Absolutely.
Pulled at your heartstrings, hasn't it? So I really hope that we can help you as a group. And
I hope so, yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much. Bye.